I'm going now to start with the exercitation in which I will create some dashboards. Dashboards will access data yet available on the platform, including data of the users coming from mobile or onboard units or other devices of the user. In this example, we are going to use the main dashboard templates by using the dashboard wizard, avoiding to use templates that are in connection with the IoT applications. I'm going to create 3 different dashboards. The first one is a dashboard for the visualization of sensor values and their trend. In the second example is a dashboard that visualizes geolocated services like point of interest, sensor data, heat maps, and so on, and their selection on a map. And in the third example, I am going to create a dashboard to visualize my KPI regarding my trajectories or trajectories of other users that provide me the permission to access to their data. So the first dashboard is a dashboard to visualize sensor values and their trend. The sensors are located in the downtown in Florence, and are data about environmental aspect, traffic flow, parking, pollution, and so on. We suggest to understand how to work to the data by using the data inspector tool, and then to create the new dashboard by using the wizard tool. After the dashboard has been created, it's possible to customize the look and feel of the dashboard and of the single widget by changing their dimension, the position, the colors, and so on. So now we start with the creation of the first example. So I start to create my first dashboard by clicking this button, and the dashboard wizard is open to help me to create the dashboard. I have to select the correct template. In this case, this is the template that I use to show actual data and their trend. So I select this template, and I have to write a title like my first dashboard. I click next to go ahead, and I see a table with all the data available on the platform according to the area shown on the map. So in this case, I see the Florence area, and so at this point I have to select the data that I would like to be shown on the dashboard. I can refine my search of the data by acting on the different field, and for example, I can select nature like environment, a corresponding subnature, in this case, for example, water sensor, and I have to check the healthiness of the data I would like to be shown. In this case, I have to avoid to use a red circle, and so green circle means that the data are correctly available. And so I can now decide to select some specific data. For example, some temperature. Okay. And I select the data. When the selection has been completed, I click next. The system confirms that all the process is okay, and I can create my dashboard by clicking this button. And just if you click, the dashboard is created and is available. When I create the dashboard, typically the dashboard will have this kind of look and feel, and so with this kind of color, the white color on the back and the header in cyan. and there is a grid in the back, so I can move my widgets by dragging them inside the grid to move them in a better position according to my feel. Okay, every time I move a widget, I have to save the new position. Otherwise, when the dashboard is loaded again, the widget will have the whole position. And I can act on this small arrow to change the dimension of the widget. For example, I can reduce the height and enlarge the widget. So, okay. 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 And the same with this widget, that I align also the actual value to the same height of the other widget with the time trend. Okay, so now I save the new position. And so now I can change the look and feel of the dashboard. The tool allows me to change many parameters to define a better look and feel. And for example, I can change the either color of the dashboard, and I can decide to change the either color, and also I can act on the transparency and on the palette to change the color, or there are some predefined colors. When I have selected the correct colors, I click apply. And the same for the title of the dashboard. I leave this in white. The widget area, that is the area with the grid, and also in this case I can define better color. And the external area, that is the area around the grid. I can use the last color just used before, since in this line I see the last used color. I set the last color used, the same color used for the grid, and I click apply. By acting on the properties button in the main menu, I can also define some other parameters. For example, I can set the dashboard as responsive, for example, for mobile browsing. And I can change the width of the dashboard by increasing or decreasing the number of cells. And I can also add a logo in the top right corner of the dashboard. So I can select a logo, click OK, and I can add also a link, www.snap4city.org. And I confirm, and you see that there is a logo on the top right corner of the dashboard. Finally, on the background tab in the dashboard properties, I can load an image that will be shown in the background of the dashboard. So I can select an image and I confirm. So the image is loaded as background, and at this point I can refine also the transparency, for example, of the header to show also the background image, and I can change again also the color and the look and feel of each single widget on the dashboard. For example, I can decide to use this with the transparency. and I use the same header color also for all the other widgets. Okay, apply. Okay. Also, I can change the background of each single widget. I go again in the menu of each widgets and I change the background color by, in this case, I will act on the transparency. Okay, transparency, the background color. Okay. And I can also change the border color of the widget, that in this case is white. I can, for example, make it completely transparent. Border color, transparent. By clicking directly on the header of each widget, I can write and change the header title. So my sensor, for example, the same here. My sensor trend. Click here to save, and I can, in the case of a time trend, I can also change the time range of the trend that is typically set for 1 day as a default setting, and I can change to 7 days, 1 month, 1 year or less, 4 hours, 12 hours, and so on. I set to 1 month, and the data are loaded, and so I can now change the color of the chart. Okay. Color of the axis. Then I can click on the preview button of the dashboard to see the preview. So I can see the look and feel of the dashboard, not in edit mode. And can decide to make other changes or not. For example, I can change the size, so I can access to more options, advanced options, by clicking the more options item in the menu of each single widget. And in this case, I can change the size of the font, for example 52, and I can add a unit of measure that can be shown below the value or next on the right of the value, and I can change the color of the text. In this case I set to white, click confirm, and I see the new settings. So I created my first dashboard by using this dashboard template, and the result is very similar to what is shown in this slide. And I can also refine and add more widget on the dashboard by using the dashboard wizard. Now I create another dashboard to visualize geolocated services, so a list of services and their selection on a map, and a target widget below the map to show the time trend of the data shown on the map. In this case, also, I use high-level type located in the downtown in Florence, and they could be a different kind of nature. And for example, can be data about environmental aspect, traffic flow, parking, pollution, and so on. I create the new dashboard by using the wizard, and again, after the dashboard has been created, I can customize the look and feel of the dashboard as seen before. So I go on the platform, I click the new dashboard button, and again I have to specify a title, my second dashboard, and the correct dashboard template. That in this case I will prefer to use the fully custom template, that is this one. I click next, and now I have the list of data available, and you see there is a long list of high-level type, and I would like to use only heat map, point of interest, and sensor. As a widget icon, I will click on this one, so the multi-data widget, and I can now select the data of my interest. For example, weather sensor, or some specific heat map. For example, let's see, Florence PM10, and some point of interest, so static information. So when my selection is completed, I click next. So all is okay, and I can click to create this dashboard. So again, just if you click, the dashboard has been created. I see the list of data I selected in the wizard before that is available in this widget, that is the selector. By clicking in each of the data, I see the data that are shown on the map. There are point of interest like this, the heat map of PM10 in Florence, and some sensor. Okay, these three sensors. I see that by clicking on the pin, the sensors have real-time data related to air temperature, air humidity, wind speed, and so on. So I can add below the map a new widget to show the actual value and the trend of this data. And so I have to go again in the wizard. I select this widget that allow me to show the actual value and the trend, and I have to select the data that are loaded by default when the dashboard is loaded. So for example, I can add smart 29. Okay, this one, I click next, 8, and the widget is added on the dashboard. Okay, I refine the look and feel. Okay, this. here. I click Save. Now I have to indicate that the value shown available for this sensor have to be shown in the widget below the map. To do this, I go in the More Option item and I search the data of my interest that are this sensor, and I see that the data here in this column, I can decide where to show the data related to this sensor. And I select both, since one is related to the actual data and the second one is related to the time trend. So again, for all the three sensors. For the other is not necessary, since not real-time data are available. I click Confirm, and now the data of the pin shown on the map. Okay, I click the pin and I see that by moving the mouse on the last value, if I click the last value, the value is shown in the corresponding widget for the actual value and also for the trend according to my selection. So I created my new dashboard, and the result is very similar to what is shown here. I used the widget shown in this slide, and I can also customize my dashboard, menu dashboard. I can add more widget and change and refine the look and feel. As a third example, now I create a dashboard to visualize my KPI regarding my trajectories or trajectories of other users that provided me the permission to access to their data. Again, I use the dashboard wizard and I search the trajectories from my KPIs, and then I created the dashboard exploiting the widget tracker. And when the dashboard is created, I can customize and refine the look and feel of the dashboard by adding more widget or changing colors and so on. To create this dashboard, I have to select the widget tracker that is shown in this slide. And so I enter on the platform. I create a new dashboard. I select the fully custom dashboard template and specify a new title, my third dashboard, and I click Next. I have to select this specific widget, the widget tracker, and in the search field I write track to refine the list of data shown on the table, and I select the data of my interest, for example this one, and I click Next. All is okay, so I can proceed to create my dashboard. Just if you click, the dashboard is created, and I can see a map with a trend behind. In this case, there is no data available, since if I go in the time range is set by default to 1 day, so there is no data today, but I can enlarge to 1 year to see all the data in the last year, and I see that there is some. Then if I go in the preview of the dashboard, I can see I can navigate and see the tracker of the previous day. Can be dynamically shown into dashboard in widget as bars, also vertical bars stacked or in horizontal bars, as a time series, also stacked and filled with filled areas, or in pie with also multiple layers, or as a radar caveat, as in this case, or as table. In the table, value can be numeric or textual, and the table shells can be also automatically colored on the basis of color map. So different color maps can be defined for each column. The color maps can be defined by using a color map editor that is a tool inside the Snap4City that is accessible for root admin, so for user with particular privilege. I will show you now how to create widget by using this kind of multi-data widget. So I create a new dashboard. I select the fully custom template. I write the title. And now, as I said before, I have to select one of the multi-data widget, for example, the bar series in vertical. And I have to select the data with the same value unit. So for example, I can search the EBMET sensors that are air quality sensor in Florence, and I select a number of parameters like O3, PM10, P2.5. If I select, for example, a parameters with a different value unit, I see below that is marked with the red line. This means that can be not included in the bar series widget. So I have to remove this line. Now I can add more data to be shown in the same bar series. So, okay, when I finished, I click next and I create the new dashboard. Okay, so the bar series widget has been created with the data that are shown now as vertical bars. I can go in the more options menu, for example, to change the chart type and to use vertical stacked bars. If I click confirm, so I see that now the data are shown as stacked. So now I am going to add a new widget. I go in the wizard and I select the curve lines multi-data widget. I restrict the search to the air quality sensor of EBMET and I select, for example, these three data that have the same value unit. Again, if I select a different data with a different value unit, I see that the system is alerting me with this red line. That means that these data are not compliant with the widget I selected, and I have to remove these lines. So I click next, and I create the new widget. And I see that now the widget has no data available since I have to change the time range of the widget that is set by default to 4 hours. So I have to change, for example, to 7 days, and I click to apply to see the data from the last 7 days. Okay, so I can move the widget and I click Save. I can now add a pie chart. So I selected the pie multi-data widget. Again, I search the EBMET air quality sensor and I select some data to be shown. And so, okay, I click Next, create the new widget. Okay, and this is the pie chart. I can enlarge the widget. And I can see the preview of the dashboard with all these 3 widgets inside. Now I can add also a caveat that is this widget, a radar. So I click on the radar multi-data widget, select, I search for the EBMET air quality sensors, and in this case I can select also data with a different value unit. I don't see any red lines here. So the caveat has less constraints with respect to the other multi-data widgets. Okay. So click Next. All is okay. Create a dashboard. So the new radar widget has been created. Finally, I will add a table widget, so a tabular representation of different data. And also in this case, I can show on the table any kind of data, also textual or any kind of value unit. So I select again some data to be shown on the table. I click Next and I confirm to create the widget. I adjust the dimension of the widget. So this is the table that has been now created, and I can associate it to the different columns, so a color map. To do this, I have to go in the More Options, and for each column, I can select a different color map that has been created with the color map editor. So for example, for O3, I can go, okay, I select the air quality of 3, PM10, PM2.5, air temperature, and air humidity. I can also see the preview of the color map to see the different colors according to the range of the value. So I click confirm and the color map is applied to the different columns.